Part 100. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 991. Chapter 991 Killing Someone with a Borrowed Knife. As soon as Zhao Jingyu finished speaking, the head of the Zhao family also said viciously, "You two brothers now have very strong connections and strength. We must kill them before they grow up. This time we must make their souls fly away, otherwise we will never have a peaceful day. Can your master help me?" After all, their masters are both people who are about to enter the realm of great saint cultivation. It is easy to deal with Jizhong, a monk who has just been promoted from the mainland below. The two brothers were a little confused. How much hatred had their parents had with Jizhong's mother and son back then? How could they be reincarnated without letting them go? The two brothers are twins. The elder brother is called Zhao Ziyu and the younger brother is called Zhao Huiyu. I hope they will be wise and wise. The two have been connected since childhood, and they know each other's thoughts without having to say them out loud, just by looking at each other. They also have the best relationship. They grew up together. Although they did not join the same sect, they are in constant contact with each other and are much closer than their parents and eldest brother. Zhao Ziyu said very directly, "The eldest brother's incident in the past few days has made the sect a little dissatisfied with me. This time the matter is not that simple, and I cannot rely on master's help." Zhao Jingyu frowned when he heard this. "Didn't you just ask your master to help me arrange a marriage in the mainland? I didn't use your sect's name to do anything, so why did your sect become dissatisfied?" Zhao Ziyu glanced at his eldest brother. This eldest brother was more than 20 years older than them, but they had never lent him any help since they were young. On the contrary, they often helped him after joining the sect. In the past, because of his luck, he needed to use luck to make up for it, otherwise he would have great bad luck. Therefore, he asked his master to help him find a woman to be his wife who would be able to avoid all disasters in the mainland. After all, they are not on the same continent. The two of them are just a couple in name, but they can make up for the shortcomings in the elder brother's luck and help him avoid the bad luck in the past few years. If the girl's family does not agree, we can extract a bit of good luck from everyone on that continent. This will not affect their own luck, but can make up for the eldest brother's luck at once. But to put it simply, such a thing is not an upright thing after all, and the heavenly master is willing to do it. Therefore, he asked his master, because his master had a cousin who was a celestial master, and he was a celestial master who was willing to do anything for profit. To put it bluntly, he was what the mainlanders called the Black Celestial Master. This matter originally had nothing to do with the sect, but I don't know how the sect leader found out. The sect leader called him to give him a lesson, which almost caused him to leave the section if it weren't for his master's high status in the sect, which is equivalent to being one of the sect's patron saints. He performed extremely well after joining the section. He was the most talented among his fellow disciples at the same time, and he stayed in the sect for 9 years. After more than 1,000 years, there is a real possibility of being expelled from the sect. But the sect master also said that it would not be the same next time. This was telling him and the master that they would only tolerate them this time, and if they make mistakes next time, they will not be merciful. I have paid such a high price for my eldest brother, which has implicated my master, but my eldest brother actually doesn't take it seriously. Zhao Ziyu glanced at his elder brother and said, "Brother, don't you know the identity of the person who is helping you? Master would not have taken the risk if it were not for me. Master and I were almost expelled from the sect by the sect master." The sect master said only this time. The implication is that even if the master likes him no more, he will not take risks for him again. Hearing this, the head of the Zhao family immediately said, "We cannot let Ziyu's sect know about this, and we cannot let Ziyu do anything. It is not easy for the second son to achieve his current status in the section. The family still relies on the status of the two sons to survive, and the son must not be expelled from the sect." Zhao Jingyu's eyes were extremely gloomy, and he would not let his brother's master take action. I'm afraid they are no match for Zhao. So his eyes fell on the youngest brother Zhao Huiyu. Zhao Huiyu, who had been silent until now, spoke up, "Father, mother, brother, Zhao must be eliminated," the three of them said in unison, "Of course." "Then there is only one way," Zhao Huiyu said, touching his chin. "The second brother's master will not help, and he cannot let the second brother take risks. He will not let his master help. Reputation is not generally important to them. But things at home still have to be resolved. What can we do?" The whole family looked at Zhao Huiyu. Although he was the youngest, he was the smartest among the three brothers. "Isn't the eldest brother related to the Jade Lotus Saint?" Zhao Huiyu reminded. Zhao Jingyu said in confusion, "It's not yet to the point where she can take action for me." He himself knew very well that the relationship with the Yulian Saint was just a transaction and there was no friendship at all. If her interests are involved, she will take action and simply ask her to help her. She is not that shameless. But this cannot be said directly. He also wants to be ashamed in front of his two outstanding younger brothers. Zhao Huiyu raised the corners of her lips, "Brother, what does the Jade Lotus Sage want most?" Zhao Jingyu was stunned for a moment, then looked at Zhao Huiyu clearly. "Huiyu is indeed the smartest among our three brothers. This trick is very good for killing people with a borrowed knife." Zhao Huiyu's eyes flashed, "When our own strength is not enough, naturally we can only borrow help. Even if I don't say it today, my eldest brother will think of it later." He was being modest in what he said, and Zhao Jingyu also knew that his brother was trying to save face for him, so he smiled and said, "Although it can be done this way, it's better to make more plans. You two should also think of a way to be prepared for emergencies." "Okay," the two of them responded in unison. The head of the Zhao family was very happy. Look, his three sons are so united. What does Zhao have to fear? Seeing that things were like this for the time being, the twin brothers left together. After leaving the Zhao family, Zhao Xiao said to Zhao Huiyu, "Brother, do you think Saint Jade Lotus will take action?" Zhao Huiyu raised the corners of her lips mockingly, "Second brother, it doesn't matter whether you take action or not. I didn't expect the matter to be solved so easily." "What are you doing?" Zhao Xiao frowned and asked in confusion. "We're just dealing with my parents and eldest brother." Zhao Huiyu sighed and continued, "Second brother, haven't you noticed that my parents like my eldest brother more? Even if we are more talented and accomplished than our eldest brother, we still can't compare to the position that our eldest brother holds in our parents' hearts. I don't want to compete with my eldest brother for favor, but I won't make fearless sacrifices for him," Zhao Huiyu said. Zhao Xiao understood that their eldest brother was the child whose parents had the best relationship. They were not together at that time, so his feelings for the eldest brother were different. Although he and his younger brother were twins, their parents' hearts I still prefer the elder brother. But if the matter is not resolved, we will also be affected, Zhao Xiao said worriedly. Zhao Huiyu narrowed her eyes and said, "A borrowed knife can't only be used on one person." The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 992. Chapter 992. No one disbelieves it. Zhao Xiao immediately asked, "Who else can I borrow?" Zhao Huiyu's tone was light but her voice was ruthless. 10,000 years ago, there were many people who had issues with Yanxiangluo. Since Zhao has been with that woman in all her reincarnations, what if she is in danger? Zhao Xiao immediately understood what his brother meant. "We can't get in touch with those people either." "Who are those people?" "There is no place where people like them can get there, and they can't even see them." Zhao Huiyu's lips curled up. "You don't need to get in touch with them." "Who are they?" "You should already know that they have been reincarnated and come back. As long as we let Ruanxiangluo get one more thing, they will attack without mercy." "What is it?" Zhao Xiao knew those people very well. What they want must be something that can take their cultivation to a higher level. Is there such a treasure? Divine Pearl Zhao Huiyu uttered 2 words silently. Zhao Ziyu was stunned for a moment, then extended his thumb and said, "Awesome." Zhao Huiyu curled her lips and smiled. If you want to get rid of someone, you don't have to do it yourself. Doing it yourself is always when you are forced to have no choice, but, at least, he will not do that unless you are in a desperate situation. It is so easy to get along in the section. He has done a lot of things secretly in recent years, but who knows that he did it? Yan Xiangluo's life is already legendary. She is as talented as an evildoer. The strength of the celestial master surpassed that of her master Feng Yuan Saint before she was 20 years old. What kind of woman's divine pearl can be said to be in her body? No one does not believe it. At this time, Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhuzhong had been in the library numbered 49 for more than half an hour. The people waiting outside were a little anxious. They had come out in less than half an hour all the way. Why didn't they come out after more than half an hour this time? Is there anything special in this last library? Or is there any special treasure? After all, no one has ever entered Zhikongtian. They guessed it right. There was only one book in library number 49, but this book was not easy to see. The book is held up by a lotus and suspended in a circular pattern. The pattern has very complicated patterns. It looks more like writing from a certain period. The light envelops the lotus and the book. Neither Yan Xiangluo nor Ji Zhuzhong recognized the pattern on it. Even after half an hour, neither of them found a way to get the book. Both of them were sitting on the ground at this time, just because this library is different from other libraries at all. It requires a lot of mental power to enter, but the cost of staying in it is to continuously consume spiritual power. No matter how much spiritual power the two of them have, it is not enough to continue to consume it like this. More than half an hour has passed, and the two of them have not found a clue. Most of their spiritual energy has been consumed. If this continues, their spiritual energy will be exhausted again. But the two of them couldn't go out at this time, and they didn't need to think about it. Those people already knew the news about their reincarnation. At this time, there should be people arranged by those people all over Xuanhuan Mountain. Their current cultivation level is still far from that of the previous life, not to mention that most of their current spiritual power has been consumed, and their strength has been greatly reduced. It would be unwise to go out. The most important thing is that they don't want to come to Xuanhuan Mountain again in the future. Since they have entered the 49th library this time, they must go out through the back door. They also want to know what is recorded in this book. Therefore, the two of them simply lost control and ran out of spiritual energy. For others, it was a disaster, but for them who had Pangu space, it was a good opportunity to practice. So the two of them sat here, regardless of the consumption of spiritual energy, and concentrated on studying how to get the book. After the spiritual power was exhausted, the two of them went into the Pangu space to practice. After all the spiritual power was restored, they came out to continue their research. Time passed like this. An hour later, Ji Zhuzhong's spiritual power was exhausted first, and he went into Pangu space first. Ji Zhuzhong had used his spiritual power to attack the formation disk before, so it was consumed faster than Yan Xiangluo. After a while, Yan Xiangluo also entered. Looked at Ji Zhuzhong, who was sitting next to the spiritual spring, and also sat down next to the spiritual spring to practice. It took the two of them a long time to recover their spiritual power, which took a full 2 hours, and they both came out full of energy. And the cultivation strength that broke through to the 9th level of Mahayana was also consolidated. The two continued to study how to get the book. At this time, the people waiting outside were not calm anymore, and they all felt that something must have happened inside, and it should be a good thing. While envious and jealous, they were also helpless because they couldn't open the door and couldn't get in. At this time, rumors were spreading across the Zhejiang continent that the woman who appeared in Xuanhuan mountain who looked very similar to Master Yushan was the reincarnation of Master Yushan, and the man with her was the man she liked in her previous life, Zhizhong. Moreover, the reason why they were able to reincarnate and come back with their memories was because Yan Xiangluo had the divine beads on her body. This news shocked the people of Zhejiang even more than knowing that Yan Xiangluo was reborn. On the palace surrounded by fairy clouds, Sage Jade Lotus looked impatiently at the man sitting opposite her. What's going on? How did the news about the divine beads spread? The man glanced at the Jade Lotus sage. There is no airtight wall in the world. We can know it, but why don't others know it? However, it is not their style to publicize it in such a big way. They never thought that this news was just released by a small person who wanted to use their powerful swords to kill Yan Xiangluo and Zhizhong. What should we do now? Saint Jade Lotus asked as he restrained his violent aura. The man glanced at her and reminded her, I know what you want, but don't ruin my business. The divine pearl must be mine. Don't let others take advantage of you without knowing it. Sage Jade Lotus suddenly felt suffocated. He glanced at the man and said, you have been planning for so long, but you still haven't achieved your goal. Now that so many people know that I am not bad, you can get the divine pearl. The man's face suddenly turned ugly. You don't have to worry about it. Just take care of yourself. Don't forget, only if I get the divine bead can you get what you want. Otherwise, what's the point of just getting what you want? Use. Sage Jade Lotus knew that what the man said was true. She did not dare to think about the divine pearl. Although she was also a great sage, people who cultivated as a great sage in the 9 heavens lost more than 300,000 years ago, but now still a lot. Although she is now an intermediate level cultivation level of the great sage, there are many people who have advanced level cultivation level of the great sage, and the one in front of her is the best among them. After thinking about it, he immediately said, don't worry, I'm not a 3-year-old child. I know what to do. I won't take action if you don't say anything, but can you guarantee that others won't take action? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 993. Chapter 993. It's the 9th day. You don't have to worry about this, I've got it covered. The man stood up and left. Sage Jade Lotus looked at the man's leaving figure and rolled his eyes disdainfully, thinking to himself, Zhejiang hides the best hypocrite. But she could only think in her heart that she couldn't afford to offend this person. After a while, she snapped her fingers, and a man in black robe appeared in front of her. What is the saint's order? You go to Xuanhuan mountain for a trip. You don't need to do anything. Just tell me the truth about what you saw, Jade Lotus Sage said. Although she couldn't take action directly, she had to know how things were developing, and even more what Yan Xiangluo and Zhizhong had gained. After all, they had already entered the last library in Xuanhuan mountain and had not come out for several hours. Although it would take other people 2 or 3 days to finish reading the books in any library, some people need about a month to do so. Looking at it this way, the few hours that Yan Xiangluo and the others stayed in the last library was not a long time, but it took them less than half an hour to get out before. Such a comparison is abnormal. Even fools know that there must be some opportunities waiting for them. Although I had no apparent interaction with them in my previous life, I had always been jealous of Yan Xiangluo. Just because she took away the light that originally belonged to her as the #1 beauty as soon as she appeared. Not only that, this light that she is proud of is the most insignificant thing in her life. The first heavenly master and the first alchemist, the radiance of any one of them overshadowed the brilliance of the first beauty. After all, these two are the real deal. Beauty is nothing to you, Yan Xiangluo. At this time, Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhikong in the library pavilion did not know Zhikongtian continent at all, because of the sensation caused by their appearance and the fueling of some people with ulterior motives. The two of them consumed their spiritual energy over and over again, and then went into the Pangu space to restore their spiritual energy. They turned over and over countless times, and time passed little by little. The two of them didn't know the time, but the people waiting outside knew it very well. It's been 3 days and they haven't come out yet. Is there really any opportunity inside? Someone has been asking the same question for the past 3 days. But no one answered. Even if no one answered, everyone thought so. I wonder how many days they will stay in there, someone said with emotion. By the way, did any of you notice their cultivation level when they entered? Someone suddenly asked. If someone looked carefully, everyone would definitely find that this person was not the person who was waiting with them from the beginning. Everyone started whispering when this question was asked. Although they did not dare to make a loud noise, they still looked at each other in private and asked. Finally, the two people who came out of the library numbered 42 said, the level of cultivation they entered was the 9th level of the Mahayana. This level of cultivation can be said to be high or low. The reason why it is said is that in above the Mahayana cultivation level, there are also the Golden Way and the Great Sage. But judging from their age, this level of cultivation is already beyond the reach of their peers on the mainland. Just like the people present now, they are all young, some are in their teens and some are in their decades, but most of them are 100 or 200 years old, and their cultivation level reaches the level of Mahayana cultivation. There are very few Liao, and even those who have reached Mahayana cultivation level have not exceeded the 5th or 6th level. It's not that there aren't people with high levels of cultivation who come to Xuanhuan Mountain Library to read. It's that people with high levels of cultivation come and go without a trace. Either they don't read there or they leave directly. Not everyone can do it. Have witnessed. Everyone present fell silent after hearing the cultivation levels of Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhikong. At such an age and with such a cultivation level, they were not even qualified to be envious and jealous. The people who were talking gradually became quiet. Some of them with good intentions had already found a secluded place to sit down and practice cross-legged practice, as if they knew they wouldn't come out soon. As a result, many people find places to sit down and practice, but there are only a few people who can really practice. But even so, it is helpful to stabilize your mind. Time flies to the morning of the 9th day, and it will be 9 full days before the two of them enter. Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhikong didn't know how many times they had consumed their spiritual power, but they had gained a lot. The two of them have reached the peak of the 9th level of Mahayana cultivation, but their cultivation is suppressed. Once they leave here, they will immediately break through to the Golden Dao cultivation. Neither of them was surprised to be promoted so quickly. First of all, they practiced ancient techniques, especially the Yangxiangluo Pangu flower blooming technique, which had already broken through 3 life and death barriers. The most remarkable thing about this technique was that it broke through 3 levels. The future cultivation and promotion will be very fast. In addition, she has the divine bead. Although she doesn't know what kind of power the divine bead gives her, Yan Xiangluo truly feels that her cultivation speed is particularly fast now. Secondly, both of them have experiences in previous lives, and both of them were above the level of great saints in their previous lives. Although they are all the junior level of the great sage, for them now, they know the level of cultivation level below the great sage. As long as they have enough spiritual energy reserves, they will advance and are not restricted by the level. Whether they are going up against the demon lord in the future or those who plotted against them in the past life, they will need strong strength. Therefore, their first consideration is to break through and advance. It is impossible to say that they came to Xuanhuan Mountain Library without considering the consequences at all. How could they not know that their appearance and talents would attract the attention of all the monks in Zhongtian continent, and those who knew them well in their previous lives with ulterior motives must have guessed that they had been reincarnated and returned. But relatively speaking, exposing that they have returned is also a step in their calculations. They don't have that much time to solve problems one by one, so the best solution is for them to take the initiative. Compared with slaying demons, the grievances between them are actually nothing. But the two of them knew very well that they would not give up and had to solve the problem. After regaining his spiritual power and coming out of Pangu space, Yan Xianglou glanced at Jizhong, meaning that it would not work if it continued like this. They had no clue at all. How could they find a way to get the book? Jizhong was also the first time in his history that he encountered such a difficult problem, and it actually stumped him. After the two looked at each other, Jizhong's phoenix eyes fell on the lotus, and Yan Xiangluo's eyes followed his gaze and fell on the lotus. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 994. Chapter 994. It is a lotus platform. Both of them knew that the problem was probably in this lotus flower, but they could not find a flaw. They have tried every method they could think of, but nothing works. Yan Xiangluo's apricot eyes flickered, wanting to see what else they had overlooked. Suddenly she thought of her spiritual pet Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan is the spiritual root of the ancient god. This ancient pulled out his own spiritual root before his death. Xuanhuan condensed his own spiritual consciousness over the long years and became a separate individual. Every time Xuanhuan practices to advance, a Yuan pearl will be formed. The power in Yuanzu is very strong, and ordinary people's spiritual roots cannot withstand it. Only Yan Xiangluo, who has contracted with Xuanhuan, will not be hurt by Yuanzu. On the contrary, she can also absorb Yuanzu. The power in the beads. Since the spiritual roots of the ancient gods can become a separate individual, is it possible that this lotus is the lotus platform of a certain ancient god? If so, is there any way to conquer this lotus platform? As soon as this idea came up, Yan Xiangluo suddenly felt that this was the case. After all, she was a heavenly master and her premonitions were very sensitive. You can't speak here, you can't communicate with Jizhong, and you can't make Jizhong understand what she means by just relying on your eyes. So she used her spiritual power to make her lotus stand appear, then pointed at her lotus stand and then at the lotus. Jizhong's eyes lit up and he nodded to show that he understood. Only then did Yan Xiangluo put away the lotus stand. But just as she was collecting the lotus stand, the lotus that had been holding the book moved. All the lotus petals fluttered together, as if there were several pairs of wings flying towards the fragrance. The speed was so fast that neither Yan Xiangluo nor Jizhong could react, and the lotus rushed into Yan Xiangluo's lotus platform. Yan Xiangluo snorted, and the golden light from the lotus platform disappeared in a flash. At this time, Jizhong came to her and looked at her anxiously, asking how she was doing with his eyes. Yan Xiangluo shook her head and said she was fine. She pointed to the book that had been suspended in front of the two of them, and motioned for Jizhong to read it first. Jizhong frowned and looked at her body carefully. He found that she was indeed uninjured and her breath was stable. Then she took the book and started reading. At this time, they no longer need to consume spiritual energy to stay inside. Yan Xiangluo glanced at Jizhong, closed her eyes and sank into her dantian with consciousness. The lotus pad that had never appeared in her dantian now appeared in her dantian. The golden lotus platform has golden light. If you look carefully, you can see purple light shining in the golden light. Yan Xiangluo carefully checked her lotus stand and found no trace of the lotus. She frowned, what's going on? She obviously saw the lotus rushing into her lotus platform with her own eyes. Where did the lotus go? Why did it just disappear? Yan Xiangluo looked at her nascent soul again, and then she discovered that the golden figure was covered with a lavender gauze dress. If she remembered correctly, the lotus flower from before was golden with a hint of purple. Suddenly her eyes lit up and she touched the purple gauze on Yuanying with her consciousness. Sure enough, Yuanying didn't move, but the purple gauze did. Yan Xiangluo knew that this purple gauze dress was transformed from the lotus flower. But how could he enter his dantian and turn it into clothes and wear them on nascent soul? What is its purpose? Thinking that Wushuan has its own spiritual consciousness, this lotus should also have its own spiritual consciousness, but I don't know how much spiritual consciousness it has and whether it can communicate normally. Yan Xiangluo tried to communicate with Lotus. Are you the lotus platform of the ancient god? Shai Wuifeng fluttered automatically, as if answering her question. Because without a contract, she couldn't communicate with Lotus like she could with Wushuan, but she understood its meaning, which was an admission. Yan Xiangluo asked tentatively, since you have entered my dantian, does it mean that you are willing to make a contract with me? After all, she has the final say in her dantian. If Yan Xiangluo dislikes Lotus, the Lotus will not be able to stay in her dantian. Shai moved again. Then I will make a contract with you so that we can communicate directly, Yu Xiangluo said. After finishing his words, he added, I also have a spiritual pet, which is the spiritual root of the ancient god. You can get along with me. The implication of Yan Xiangluo's words is to tell her that she has made a contract with the spiritual roots of the ancient gods. Even if you are the lotus platform of the ancient gods, it is not impossible for her to make a contract. Shai danced faster after hearing her words, as if she couldn't wait. Upon seeing this, Yan Xiangluo immediately forced out a drop of her own blood, which fell on the gauze clothes. Shai immediately turned into the lotus flower and was enveloped in a red light. This was the contracted light. The light flashed, and the voice of Lotus appeared in the sea where the fragrance fell. Master, quickly send me to see the spiritual root of the ancient you contracted with. Yan Xiangluo was stunned. She contracted it? Shouldn't she get to know her master first? Why are you so eager to see Wushuan? Do you recognize it? Lian Hua said, we are the spiritual root and lotus platform of the same ancient god, so we are from the same lineage. No wonder. Yan Xiangluo was extremely shocked. She really didn't expect that this lotus platform and Wushuan actually belonged to the same ancient god. But I also understand that not everyone has such an awareness and state of mind, and can let their spiritual roots and lotus stand free to find a life before falling into nothingness. As soon as Yan Xiangluo's consciousness moved, the lotus platform was sent into Pangu space by her. Wang Wu, who had been practicing quietly, suddenly felt a familiar breath jump up. The white soft dumplings jumped in the air, and its voice also sounded in Yu Xiangluo's consciousness. Oh my god, Lotus Terrace, you actually exist. Humph, you can succeed, why can't I succeed? I am Lian Tai, and you can be so powerful without me. TCH, that requires me to be pure enough. I am the one who determines the talent, Wushuan immediately defended. What do the spiritual roots and the lotus platform have to contend with? Obviously, it can't work without either one. Yan Xiangluo watched them bickering with black lines on her face. They both knew that the ancient drove them away from his body before his death, but they didn't know that both of them had successfully condensed their spiritual consciousness and became separate individuals. Yan Xiangluo did not enter the Pangu space, but only used her consciousness to talk to them. Can you two calm down and tell me what's going on? Wushuan was the first to calm down. After all, she had been following Yan Xiangluo for so long and had been practicing in Pangu space. Her spiritual consciousness was equivalent to that of a teenager. Seeing that Wushuan was so obedient, Lian Tai also obediently floated side by side with Wushuan. After all, they now have the same master, and they have to listen to their master. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 995. Chapter 995 about the devil. Wushuan explained, Master, before the death of the ancient god, he not only extracted me, but also stripped his lotus platform from his body, and injected all the last spiritual power of his body into our two bodies. Hopefully we can continue to live in another way. Liantai continued, but his power is only enough to support us for 1,000 years, which means that we must condense our spiritual consciousness within 1,000 years, otherwise we will disappear. After the two of us left the body of the ancient god, we each landed in different places. After condensing my spiritual consciousness, I didn't find the spiritual root, so I thought it had failed. Just when the master's lotus platform appeared, I felt its breath, so I entered the master's body through the master's lotus platform. The corner of Yan Xiangluo's mouth twitched. Xuanhuan didn't say such important information at first. But I also understand why the lotus pad enters my dantian. I am used to it. I used to stay in the dantian of the ancient gods. Yan Xiangluo glanced at Xuanhuan. Why didn't you tell me there was a lotus platform? Xuanhuan immediately said, Master, I thought it was unsuccessful, so I didn't mention it. Yu Xiangluo said, what else did that ancient do? Xuanhuan said, apart from that, there is nothing else to do, but he said that if we succeed, maybe Zhongtian continent will be saved. Yan Xiangluo was stunned for a moment. What does this sentence mean? What can Xuanhuan and Lotus Platform alone do? The biggest crisis in the Zhongtian continent is the emergence of the Demon Lord. When they get in front of the Demon Lord, they have no power to fight against the enemy. How can they save the Zhongtian continent? Suddenly Yan Xiangluo thought of a possibility. Could it be that the ancient foresaw that his spiritual root and lotus platform would be contracted by him after they became separate entities? Does it mean that Xuanhuan and Liantai will be of great help to him when facing the Demon Lord? Yan Xiangluo didn't think about it further. Zhizhong had almost finished reading the book. She said to Liantai, I gave my spiritual root the name Xuanhuan. Let me give you a name too. The lotus platform immediately flapped its petals to show that it was very happy and that it was going to have a name. Woody, your name, Yan Xiangluo said in a long tone. She put her own care into naming the lotus platform. Since the ancient great said it, if the two of them successfully condense their spiritual consciousness, the 9 heavens continent will be saved. Then let him Xuanhuan and Invincible face the Demon Lord with him. Invincible means that the Demon Lord is unable to defeat them, which indicates that they will succeed in slaying the demon in the end. Liantai didn't know what Yan Xiangluo was thinking, so she was very happy about her name. Invincible, the owner liked it so much that it gave it such a powerful name. Seeing that it liked the consciousness, Yan Xiangluo did not stay in the Pangu space for too long, letting them whisper on their own. She exited the Pangu space with her consciousness and looked at Zhizhong. Zhizhong had finished reading the book at this time, and his expression was a little solemn. Yan Xiangluo's heart sank. She took the book and started reading. At this glance, she realized why Zhizhong looked so serious. It turned out that this book was about demons in ancient times. Demons appeared at the end of ancient times. This book tells how and where demons appeared in ancient times and how they became powerful. What consequences will the demonic society bring to the Zhongtian continent in the future? Yuan Xiangluo really didn't expect the demon to appear at such an early stage. No wonder the Demon Lord has such powerful power. Do you also know why the devil cannot be killed? Because demons are people's evil thoughts gathered together. Over a long period of time, they condensed into a kind of dark power. They slowly gained spiritual consciousness, and then the existence of the Demon Lord came into being. As long as people's evil thoughts continue, demons will not be destroyed and demons will never die. Yan Xiangluo and Zhizhong looked at each other after reading the entire book. Their eyes fell on the array of patterns that had not disappeared. Only then did they know that this pattern array was an ancient teleportation array, which could transport them to the place where the devil was born. If you want to get rid of the demon, you must go there and cut off the evil thoughts that caused the demon to form. But the two of them also understood at this time that it was not the time to go there yet. It had nothing to do with anything else. Just because their current cultivation strength was not enough to confront the demon lord, and going there would be equivalent to death. To live a new life, they know very well that there is not so much time for them to be reborn again. Therefore, the two of them quickly made a decision to leave here first and wait until their cultivation strength reaches the top level in mainland China before they go. They must go there if they want to completely get rid of the demon lord. 10,000 years ago, Master Fengyuan Saint and more than 300 great saint cultivators paid such a heavy price to seal the demon lord. It is no longer possible to seal the demon lord again. Although she now relies on the power of faith to strengthen the seal, it will not last long, at most 3 years. There is indeed not much time left for them. For other people, they may only be able to break through the first and second levels in 3 years, but you can imagine how difficult it is for them to reach the peak of the 9th level of the Great Sage in these 3 years. Even though their cultivation levels advanced quickly, they were only below the Great Sage. In their previous life, they had only exceeded the Great Sage's cultivation level. They had no experience at all in the cultivation level above the Great Sage. Yanziongloo sensed his own strength. They were suppressed in their cultivation in the library pavilion. Maybe the heavens did not allow them to break through and advance in the library pavilion. Now that things are clear, they should go out. Yanziongloo gestured that she was going out. Jiju nodded, he was about to break through. The two men went out through the front door. It's not that they don't want to go out through the back door, but that there is no back door to this library. It is also a library without a back door. As soon as the two people came out, they saw the people guarding outside, and everyone looked at them with shocked and curious eyes. It was just a moment, because the two of them started to advance through the ranks as soon as they left the library. Everyone immediately hid far away. For the Mahayana masters who want to break through and advance, the force of repulsion is not small. If they don't dodge in time, they will be attacked by the force of the breakthrough. At that time, they don't know how to dodge. Even if you don't die, you will be seriously injured. Everyone hid in a safe place and watched from a distance. I was thinking that they had indeed encountered an opportunity inside, otherwise how could they have started to break through and advance as soon as they came out? I don't know what the books in it are, and whether they have read them all. After all, this is the only library without a back door, so it is impossible to tell whether they succeeded or not. This question can't be asked, it really stifles them. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 996. Chapter 996 Return to the Nameless Palace. Yanziongloo and Jijuzhong immediately separated as soon as they came out, one on the left and one on the right of the library. The distance was too close, and the protective power during promotion would hurt each other. Just after the two separated, 2 rays of promotion shone over them. The promotion has begun. The two of them broke through the promotion very quickly, and they broke through the Golden Dao cultivation level almost at the same time. However, the light of promotion after breaking through to the first level of Jin Dao has not dissipated and continues. Everyone in the distance looked at the two people in shock. Can they continue to advance to the top of the golden path? It is obviously so difficult for them to break through the first level of Mahayana cultivation. How come it is so easy for others to advance to the golden path? Not only do they break through at a fast speed, but they also have to advance continuously. Facts have proven to them that it can. Jin Dao level 2 and Jin Dao level 3. The glory of advancement stopped after the two of them advanced to level 3. At this time, not only the people who followed them up the mountain saw it, but also many people arranged by various forces also saw it with their own eyes. Jijuzhong and Yanziongloo walked hand in hand down the mountain as soon as the light of promotion faded. Everyone was following them with mixed emotions. Because there are various rumors outside these days. Some say that this girl who looks like Xianxia is the reincarnation of Xianxia. It is also said that she possesses divine beads, so she has such evil talents and strong spirit. Force. The man following him, the girl's husband, was Jizhe Kong, the man Xianxia Tian liked in his previous life. The affairs of the two people's past lives were completely revealed within a few days. Even Jizhe Hong's father's family, the Zhao family, became a topic of conversation after dinner. Many of them wanted to stop the two of them and ask if the rumors were true, but no one dared to stop them. Their cultivation had not broken through the golden path before, so they were no match for the couple. Now that the couple has reached the third level of Jin Dao, it goes without saying that everyone knows that these two people will definitely be able to break through to the level of the great sage. It is just a matter of time. What worries them the most is not their current cultivation level. After all, this level of cultivation is not considered powerful. What they are really afraid of is the identity of Yan Xiangluo. If she is really the reincarnation of Tianxi, who would dare to provoke such a powerful Tianxi? Yan Xiangluo and Jizhe Hong also know this very well. Aren't there so many people who wanted their lives in the past life secretly plotting against them? No one dared to provoke them openly. Therefore, everyone followed the two men to the foot of Xuanhuan mountain, but no one dared to come forward. Someone encouraged Zhao Yushan, who had spoken to Yan Xiangluo before, to ask. Zhao Yushan was speechless. He was not stupid. He had no mercy at all in front of Master Sun. These people did not dare to provoke them. They wanted him to stand out. They just rolled their eyes at each other and said nothing. Even if his uncle carved a statue of Master Yu, it was to repay Heavenly Master for saving his life. In the final analysis, his uncle owed Heavenly Master Yu, and Heavenly Master Yu did not owe his uncle anything. Besides, if she was really the reincarnation of Tianxi, he had already made it clear before. She didn't show any emotions. He felt that Tianxi might not even remember saving his uncle. After all, Heavenly Master Yu has saved too many people. If you want to come forward yourself, that's a fool's errand. When Yan Xiangluo and Jizhe Hong arrived at the foot of Xuanhuan mountain, they saw a crowd of people gathered at the foot of the mountain. The people who came down from the mountain were also shocked. What kind of battle was this? What do these people want to do? Yan Xiangluo, Jizhe Hong, hand over the divine pearl, someone on the other side shouted first, and the others immediately followed suit. They were all people arranged by their respective masters to test the strength of Yan Xiangluo and Jizhe Hong first. Yan Xiangluo and Jizhe Hong looked at each other and were both speechless. How could such a group of people with no brains have been calculated to such an extent in their previous life? The two of them teleported away without even saying a word, let alone stopping. Not only that, they immediately used the teleportation text to leave the place they teleported to. Everyone at the foot of Xuanhuan mountain was confused. How could this happen? How could Yan Xiangluo and Jizhe Hong do such a thing and run away without even saying a word? In their eyes, it was just an escape. After all, they were outnumbered and their strength was much stronger than the two of them. It was not an escape. Hurry up and chase, someone shouted. In an instant, one figure after another disappeared quickly, and in the blink of an eye, most of the people at the foot of Xuanhuan mountain left. The remaining people are those who cannot track the teleportation of those who have cultivated the golden path. However, Yan Xiangluo and Jizhe Hong used the portal Xuanhuan to teleport several times in succession, so that the people following them could not find the slightest breath when they reached the place where they teleported. If you are not willing to give up, you have no choice but to give up. Each of them reported to their masters. At this time, Yan Xiangluo and Jizhe Hong appeared under the Wuming Palace. Yes, it's below, because the nameless palace is actually suspended on the clouds. The Wyoming Palace is the place where Xianxia lived as a heavenly master in her previous life. When the spirit body came here after the last divine soul, she had not yet recovered the memories of her previous life. She only vaguely recalled some scenes in the nameless palace where she once lived. But at this time, Xianxia had complete memories of her previous life, so she naturally knew what the Wyoming Palace was like. This is the palace that the monks from Zhangtian who received her favor 10,000 years ago spontaneously built for her. Because a suitable name has not been chosen, it is called the Unnamed Palace by the world. She has not lived here for a long time, and most of the time she lives here because of predictions. And the people who followed her all live here. It's a pity that there was only one person left before she died, and the person who betrayed her was Cheng Kun, the person who took her soul out of her body that time. Xuanhuan also came here in his previous life, but only a few times. Most of the time, they met outside. It's not that he doesn't like it here, it's that Luo doesn't like it here. She never lives here when nothing happens. Most of the residences here are empty and have not been lived in for a few days. She felt that the Wyoming Palace was like a shackles, making her breathless. But after being reborn, she still wants to come back. There is something that belongs to her here, and she wants to take it. The previous life was the previous life, and in this life she no longer wanted to be locked up by anyone, anything, or anywhere. If the demon can be eliminated successfully, what she wants most is freedom. Xuanhuan stayed by her side silently. He knew very well that Luo needed time to calm down. Even when he came here, he was not in a calm mood. After experiencing this life, he thought about how they were tightly bound by various shackles in their previous lives. In this life, he would never allow the tragedy of his previous life to happen again. After a while, Xianxia said to Xuanhuan, "Let's go in." The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 997. Chapter 997 Destroyed with my own hands. Xuanhuan held her hand and said, "I'm here." Xianxia turned to look at him and smiled, "Well, it's great to have you here." With a simple sentence, the mood of the two of them instantly improved. Xianxia said in a relaxed tone, 10,000 years have passed, but the things are still there. How stupid they are. Xuanhuan knew the meaning of her words. Although the Wyoming Palace was banned by her in her previous life, 10,000 years later, they still couldn't get the things. It was indeed stupid enough. Luo is still awesome, Xuanhuan praised without hesitation. Xianxia had a bright smile on her face, "That's right." The two of them rose into the air and stopped in front of the gate of Wyoming Palace. Xianxia raised her hand and landed on the door with her soul power. The door that had been closed for 10,000 years slowly opened. At the same time, the entire nameless palace erupted with dazzling golden light. The palace that looked lifeless before seemed to have come to life. Many people in the Zhangtian continent instantly sensed that only Heavenly Master Yuan could open the door to the Wyoming Palace and emit such light. Countless people immediately rushed to the Wyoming Palace. Xianxia saw the golden light, pulled Xuanhuan and walked in quickly, and went directly to the room where she once lived at the speed of shrinking to an inch. Some people will be coming soon and they cannot stay here much longer. Now is not the time to confront those people. This room is also the place where the spirit body came back last time. Entering the room, Xianxia didn't look at anything. Her soul power landed directly on the door on the right, which was also the room she didn't want to enter last time. Only because at that time, she entered with a spirit body and could not take away her own things. On the contrary, the spirit body might even be absorbed in its power. She didn't know the reason at the time, so she just instinctively refused to enter the room. This was the instinct of a heavenly master. The door was opened. The room was as big as the bedroom opposite, but it was empty. There was only a table placed against the wall on the right side of the room. There is a wish-shaped tray on the table, and a black stone the size of a fist is placed on the tray. It looks inconspicuous, but this black stone exudes rich soul power. The stone, which was motionless at first, bounced off the ruyi-shaped tray when Yan Xianglou walked in, and flew towards her. Yan Xianglou raised her hand to catch the black stone, and the stone rolled in her palm. Yan Xianglou looked at the black stone rolling in her palm with soft eyes. Moran, I'm back. Yes, this black stone has a name. The name was given by Yan Xianglou, just because when he first encountered it, Yan Xianglou thought it was a good material for making an inkstone, just like being dyed with ink. Same. But when I got it, I realized that this was not an ordinary stone, but a soul stone with rich soul power inside. After making a contract with Mo, I found out that Moran was a stone used by heavenly masters in ancient times to train their souls. There are countless heavenly masters who have used it to temper their soul power. And every time the heavenly master comes to temper the wedding, Moran will get some of their soul power. Therefore, Moran absorbed the soul power of many heavenly masters over a long period of time. Later, at the end of ancient times, people were too selfish. Moran was stolen by selfish people. Later, he was tossed around in the hands of countless heavenly masters. Finally, he hid in the mountain where Yu Xianglou went to practice and raised his own spiritual consciousness. Until he met Yan Xianglou and she discovered the contract, he followed her. Moran is the best magical weapon of the celestial master, one of the best. This is what her master in the previous life, Fenyuan Sage, said. Although Yan Xianglou's original contract with Moran was a soul contract, she gave it an order before her death, asking Moran to wait for her return in Wuoming Palace. Moran has been waiting for 10,000 years. During this time, I can't count how many people have thought about it. It's a pity that it has a soul contract with its master, and the master has placed a restriction here. How could their dirty souls break the restriction set by the master? The restriction set by the master is actually the simplest, that is, one must have a pure soul to open this door. It's a pity that no one who has come here in the past 10,000 years has a pure soul, and no one can open this door. Instead, they think that the master is too strong and has set restrictions that they have never seen before. They must be from ancient times. Period of some kind of restriction. No one thought that it was actually because the ban was too simple and they couldn't open it because they were not clean enough. Ji Zhong stood outside the door without going in. She could not hide the tenderness in her eyes as she watched Luoluo take back the heavenly master's magic weapon from her previous life. Ji Zhong suddenly turned his head and looked outside, and said to Yan Xianglou, "Luoluo, someone is coming." Yan Xianglou immediately put away her ink dye, turned around and walked out of the room, looking at the familiar Wuoming Palace. Ji Zhong asked, "How to deal with it here?" Yu Xianglou said, "I was bound here in my previous life, and there is no need to exist in this life." It was only after Xianglou was reborn that she truly understood the true meaning of Tianqi's profession. She was not a magic stick in the eyes of the world, nor was she a weapon to help them solve the stumbling blocks to fame and wealth. The true professional meaning of a heavenly master is to be worthy of heaven and earth, worthy of people's hearts, and worthy of morality. That's all. Ji Zhong breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. He thought the same thing. He didn't want any of the shackles that once bound Luoluo to exist. Yan Xianglou pulled Ji Zhong up into the air, looking down at the Wuoming Palace suspended on the clouds in mid-air. A ray of soul power fell towards the main hall of the Wuoming Palace. With a loud noise, the entire Wuoming Palace trembled, and then fell into pieces and fell downwards. In order to avoid hurting people, Yan Xianglou used the flames of fire beads, but the inconspicuous flames turned the broken Wuoming Palace into ashes, which were blown away by the wind. The nameless palace has completely disappeared, and there is no more nameless palace in Zhongtian. and Yan Xiangluo felt that the shackles in her heart were broken, and her whole person felt extremely relaxed from the inside out. Yan Xiangluo withdrew the flame and teleported away with Ji Zhizhong. After they left for a few moments to breathe, countless figures came to the Wueming Palace, but they didn't see anything where the Wueming Palace was. The Wueming Palace was gone. Chang Kun is one of them. He finally broke through the paralyzing power of Yang Xiang on his soul body. As soon as he came out, he heard that she had come back after reincarnation. How could it happen so quickly? Before he could react, he sensed the golden light of Wueming Palace and rushed over. She actually destroyed the Wueming Palace. Chang Kun looked at the place where the Wueming Palace existed before in shock. What kind of existence is the Wueming Palace in Zhikongtian? No one in Zhikongtian's monks is clear about it. How could Yan Xiangluo be willing to destroy everything she had accumulated in her previous life? End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 998. Chapter 998. Where else do you want to go? If Ruanxiang falls, she will definitely disdain Chang Kun's idea. The Wueming Palace cannot represent everything about her. Her honor is earned by her own strength. The Wueming Palace is just an object that proves her strength. Its existence, whether it is or not, it doesn't affect her anything. Others did not pay attention to Chang Kun's words. They all knew Chang Kun. He was just a slave next to Yan Xiangluo, and he was still a slave who betrayed his master. Although he is now a great sage, no one thinks highly of him. At this time, they were very upset, because they knew very well that Yan Xiangluo was telling them not to use the same tricks in her previous life to restrain her, because she no longer cared about anything in Zhizongtian. What should I do? After a long time, someone finally spoke. Since she made the choice first, there is no need for us to be merciful. One of them looked at the older man and said in a harsh tone. This was said as if he had shown mercy. How did she become stupid after resurrecting her life? The divine pearl alone could make her a public enemy of the 9 heavens, but she actually destroyed the Wueming Palace, someone asked in confusion. Others who didn't say anything didn't think Yan Xiangluo was stupid. No one can be sure whether the divine bead is in her body before, but it was just someone who deliberately placed it on her body. After all, only the divine pearl can have such a great influence. But now that they saw Yan Xiangluo destroying the Wueming Palace so arrogantly, they felt uncertain. The existence of the Wueming Palace is a shackle for Yan Xiangluo, but it is also a protection. Just because this place was built for her by those who believed in her in the previous life. If she makes use of her reputation in her previous life, she can temporarily protect her. After all, tens of thousands of years have passed, and there has never been a heavenly master more powerful than her in the 9 heavens. Her return will only make those who believe in her even more, and they will spontaneously organize people to protect her. But Yan Xiangluo destroyed the Wueming Palace. Although destroying the shackles, it was equivalent to destroying her status in the hearts of those people. Is the divine bead really in her hand? At this moment, the reasons they made up have convinced themselves. One of them was speechless. He was the only one who was sure that the divine bead was really in the hands of Yan Xiangluo. After all, he had dealt with Yan Xiangluo before and sensed the existence of the divine bead in her body. This person was the former user of the huge white crystal ball in Yang Xiangluo Pangu's space. He is also the most powerful celestial master in the 9 heavens continent, but no one knows that he is not a pure celestial master, but a black celestial master who practices evil arts. We want different things. Now it seems we can only rely on our own strength. Someone quickly saw the facts clearly and directly stated what everyone was thinking. The people who can come here are all people with status in Zhikongtian continent. After the man said such words, he also knew that if he wants to get what he wants from Yan Xiangluo, he can only rely on his own strength. They left each other. There is only one person left standing in the void, looking at where the Wueming Palace once was, and that is Chang Kun. Chang Kun said bitterly in his heart, I don't believe that I can't get that soul stone. Then he took another deep breath. When Yan Xianglou was still on the lower continent, he couldn't control it even with the soul-stirring method. Yan Xianglou took out the soul stone. Now that she has returned to Zhongtian continent, Yan Xianglou's cultivation talent is amazing no matter in the past or present life. He knows that Yan Xianglou will not take long to grow. What to do? After a while, he thought of a person and immediately turned around and chased that person. At this time, the entire Zhongtian had received the news of the destruction of the Wueming Palace. Those who had spent money and effort to build the Wueming Palace were immediately angry and threatened to find the person who destroyed the Wueming Palace and would never let him off lightly. But later they heard that the Wueming Palace was destroyed by the reincarnated Yan Xianglou himself, and they all fell silent again. The mood is very complicated. If the Wueming Palace was really destroyed by the reincarnated Tian Master himself, it only means one thing: the Wueming Palace they built for Tian Master was not popular with her. While they felt uncomfortable, they were also wondering whether it was right or wrong for them to build the unnamed palace as a gift to Master Yu. What did Master Yu want to tell them by destroying the Wueming Palace? After Yan Xianglou and Ji Zhizhong destroyed the Wueming Palace, they knew exactly what kind of sensation the Zhongtian continent would cause. If you want to get rid of demons, the first thing you have to do is to recreate the mental state of the Nine Heavens monks. This is no easy task, and this is just the beginning. If their previous state of mind was against that of the Demon Lord, not only would they not be able to help them, but they would actually become the Demon Lord's help. Yan Xianglou and Ji Zhizhong stood under the evergreen tree of Zhongtian holding hands. After standing here, the two of them reawakened the memories of another life. Only then did Yan Xianglou realize that the dream she had the night she got the divine bead was exactly what she and Ji Zhizhong had experienced in their previous life. At that time, the divine pearl was in their hands, but they did not recognize them as masters. In that life, they fell because of the divine bead. Before they died, they saw through everything they had not seen through before. They threw the divine bead down the Nine Heavens continent and swore an oath that if they did not have the strength of the contracted divine bead, they would never meet again in eternity. To the divine bead. Therefore, neither of them encountered the divine bead in the last life, but in this life, Yan Xianglou's experience, the skills she practiced, the spiritual pets she obtained, and the opportunities she obtained, everything seemed to be preparations for the contracted divine bead. And she easily obtained the divine beads when she was still weak. Both of our lives have made promises under the evergreen tree that we will keep together from generation to generation, but neither of our lives has a good outcome. Can we make it to the end in this life? Yan Xianglou looked at the evergreen tree with a somewhat confused tone. Asked uncertainly. Ji Zhizhong held her hand tightly and said firmly, yes. Although it was just one word, it seemed to have endless power injected into Yan Xianglou's heart. She smiled, I think it can, too. Then do we need to make another oath? Yan Xianglou asked again. Ji Zhizhong shook his head and said, no, our destiny is in our own hands. We make our own decisions in this life. Ji Zhizhong has a more ambitious goal in his heart. He does not want to experience the pain of reincarnation again. He wants to be with Luoluo truly forever. But now he doesn't know if they can achieve that state in this life. No matter how difficult it is, he wants to try it, just in case he succeeds. Where else do you want to go, Luoluo? Ji Zhizhong asked. They returned to Zhongtian. They had already been to Xuanhuan mountain, destroyed the Wueming Palace, and were under the evergreen tree. Where would Luoluo go next? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 999. Chapter 999 Return to Langtian Sect. Zhu Zhongtian has no place Xuanhuan wants to go. He will only go to one place, which is where Luo is. Langtian section Yanxiang Luo softly spat out 3 words. Xuanhuan was stunned. That was Luo's sect, a sect built by Saint Fenyuan. It is a pity that after the death of Saint Fenyuan and Luo and her senior brothers, the Langtian sect should have ceased to exist long ago. After all, apart from Luo and her 7 senior brothers, there were no other disciples. Think about it, you all know what the Langtian sect is like now, and leaving it will only increase the sadness. However, he also knew that Longtianzong was where Luo's most cherished feelings were entrusted in her previous life. It was the territory of her master who loved her most, and it was also the place where she grew up with her senior brothers who loved her. It's okay to go and have a look. Don't be sad, Luo, I feel bad for you, Xuanhuan said in a muffled voice as he hugged the person tightly. Yanxiang Luo's original sadness was immediately dispelled by his tenderness. He patted his back and said, sadness is unavoidable. I didn't just go back to be sad. There is a place for us to improve our cultivation and experience. Xuanhuan was stunned, how come you haven't heard of it before? Yanxiang Luo sighed and said, that is the secret of the Langtian section. Naturally, I can't tell you. Now that the Langtian sect is gone, that secret realm is no longer a sect secret. Xuanhuan understood. No wonder the disciples of Saint Fenyuan were all excellent and advanced quickly. It turned out that there was a unique training place in Langtian sect. It seems that the effect of the training should be very good, otherwise, Luo would not go there to practice even though they are no longer as good as the Golden Dao cultivators. Okay, we really need to improve our cultivation as soon as possible, Xuanhuan responded. Yanxiang Luo came out of his arms and said, before you go, you have to go somewhere. Where? Xuanhuan asked. Abyss of 10,000 feet, Yanxiang Luo said. The 10,000 Zhang Abyss is what they call it privately. The abyss has a name, called the Xuanhuan Abyss. The reason why it is called this is that it is a place where there is no return. If anyone dares to go down into the abyss, he will definitely not be able to come back. It is also because of this name that people in Zhekongtian continent privately call the Yellow Spring Abyss the 10,000 Zhang Abyss. This way at least it sounds more comfortable, otherwise they will always feel like they are no longer in the world. The abyss is indeed worthy of this name. No one knows how deep it is because no one who has gone down has ever come back. As soon as Yanxiang Luo said Xuanhuan, he understood, want to send Haituanzi for a feast. Yeah, Yanxiang Luo nodded. Then he added, let's not talk about the dangers of the abyssal worms. Even if the abyss goes and never comes back, I think there is something wrong. If the black dumpling eats all the abyssal worms, we can go down and have a look. Xuanhuan's mouth twitched. He thought that since she cherished her life so much in this life, she would not be so courageous. Now it seems that her nature of being fearless every day will be restored when she returns to Xuanhuan. Without saying anything, the two of them went directly to the abyss. They teleported directly, and the places they went to were determined at random, leaving those who were looking for them at a loss as to where they had gone. Who would have thought that they would go to the abyss, where even the 9th level peak of the great sage of the mainland would not dare to go? When the two came to the abyss, a gloomy atmosphere suddenly hit their faces, all because of the abyss wandering insects. And as soon as they set foot, abyssal worms came over. Yanxiang Luo threw out the black dumpling directly. Before the misty black dumpling woke up, he noticed that the delicious food was in front of him and devoured it without politeness. No need to say that the black dumplings are busy. After a minute, the abyss worm above the abyss is eaten by the black dumplings. The corner of Yanxiang Luo's mouth twitched. Haituanzi's appetite was not very good. He didn't know if the abyssal worms under the abyss were enough for him to eat, and whether he could be full once. Black Tuanzi naturally sensed that there were countless delicacies under the abyss, but he still resisted the urge to rush down immediately, and returned to Xuanhuan obediently, waiting for his master's orders. Haituanzi, I'm going to practice in the secret realm of Langtian section. You go down to eat. Don't be anxious. It's best to eat all the abyssal bugs below. If I don't come to you, you can go to Langtian sect and wait for us. Come out of the secret realm. Yanziongloo was very satisfied with Haituanzi, who followed the rules. Haituanzi jumped excitedly when he heard this, and then rushed down the abyss. Yanziongloo sensed that the black dumplings did not go straight to the bottom, but started eating from the top. Yanziongloo was speechless. This was really a catch-all rhythm to prevent any abyssal insects from escaping. Haituanzi went to eat. She and Jijuzhong turned around and left the abyss to go to Langtian sect. Although they visited two places this day, it was already noon when they left Xuanhuan mountain. They went to the Wuming palace, then to the abyss, and then to the Langtian section, although they didn't waste much time in the previous places. But it's almost evening now. Langtian sect is on Langtian mountain. At this time, the sky is full of red clouds in the west. The afterglow of the setting sun makes Langtian mountain dyed with a layer of red light. Standing at the foot of the mountain, it is so beautiful. It is different from other sects who are surrounded by clouds and mist. Same, but it does give me a very solid feeling. Ruanziongloo looked at Langtian mountain reflected in the glow, and said with a somewhat nostalgic voice, Master likes the evenings with the glow the most. Every time he makes a pot of Langtian mountain's unique spiritual tea, he sits on the wisteria tree outside his house. Under the tree, drink tea and enjoy the beautiful scenery under the glow of the sun. Jijuzhong knew this would happen. When he returned to his familiar sect, things and people had changed. How could he not miss it? He pulled her up the mountain. Let's make a pot of tea and drink it when we go up the mountain to see if the scenery of Langtian mountain will still be the same after 10,000 years. Yanziongloo glanced at the mountain and sighed, I'm afraid we won't be able to do what we want. Jijuzhong also sensed that there were actually people on the mountain, and there were quite a few of them, but he did not sense the strong pressure of cultivation. How come you don't feel the strong pressure of cultivation? Yanziongloo also sensed it. Jijuzhong said, just go up and take a look and you will know. Yanziongloo grabbed him and said, let's go up the mountain secretly to have a look. A picture of the invisibility pattern was taken on Jijuzhong's body, and then she took another picture of herself. Although it has been 10 days since they returned to Zhekongtian, they have been reading in the Xuanhuan mountain library for 9 days. They have just walked 2 serious places today, but they still lack understanding of the current Zhekongtian, so be careful. Can't be wrong. Because they had something on their minds, the two of them moved a lot faster. Her master set a restriction on Langtian mountain back then. She could not fly in the air or teleport. She had to walk on her feet if she wanted to go up the mountain. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 1000. Chapter 1000. There is someone on the mountain. Although the master is no longer here, the restrictions are still there. Unless someone stronger than the master breaks the restriction will always be there. But at that time, Saint Fenyuan was the strongest man in the mainland and a heavenly master. Anyone who wanted to surpass his strength had not appeared even after 10,000 years. Even if there are people of comparable strength, they will not waste their strength to break a meaningless restriction. As Yanziongloo walked, she wondered who were the people on the mountain? If those people are found, it is impossible that there will be no strong ones. It took the two of them half an hour to climb up Langtian mountain, and they were stunned when they saw the scene of Langtian sect. Langtian sect is still the same as when she left it 10,000 years ago, and even the stone archway engraved with the 3 characters of Langtian sect is still standing there cleanly. The buildings in the Zongmen were still the same as when she left, and there were still sounds of people talking inside. Could it be that after they were gone, the Langtian sect was occupied by others? But if it was occupied by others, why is the stone archway of Langtian sect still there? And why hasn't there been any change in the building? Zhizhong was also a little surprised. He sent a message to Yan Xianglou and said, "Don't think about it. We'll find out when we go in and take a look." Yan Xianglou said, "Go in. They are all here. It is useless to think too much. Once you go in and take a look, everything will be clear." The two walked through the stone archway, and Yan Xianglou instantly had the same feeling as when she first came to Langtian section at that time. She was very curious. After all, the cultivation strength of Saint Fenyuan was the most powerful person in the mainland at that time. To be able to become the most powerful disciple in the mainland, Yan Xianglou was quite proud at the time. Everywhere I walked, what happened here came to my mind as clearly as if it happened yesterday. After passing the stone archway, not far away is the gate of the sect. The door was merely closed. Yan Xianglou sensed that the restriction imposed by the master was still there, which meant that no one had opened the door of Langtian sect since they left. The side door next to it was open. The two of them walked in from the side door and saw someone cleaning. He was not alone. At first glance, there were more than a dozen people outside, and there were also people talking in the room. There were quite a few people. Yan Xianglou let go of her consciousness and sensed that there was no one else, and there were 20 auras distributed throughout the Langtian sect. And she also sensed that no one lived here, these people were just cleaning. Most of their cultivation levels are at the level of asking questions and overcoming tribulations, and they are really not strong people. The two of them stood at the door and did not go inside. The man cleaning the yard was chatting with the people next to him while working. "Have you heard that Master Yu is back again?" "I heard about it. They said that when I was in Xuanhuan mountain, I went directly to the 41st library to read. I kept reading the books in the last library. When I came out, I was promoted to the 3rd level. It looked even more powerful than the previous life. I wasn't born 10,000 years ago. I didn't have the chance to see how powerful Master Yu was at that time. I don't know if Master Yu would come back to Langtian sect to have a look. If he could come, I could see how powerful he was in this life. An even more powerful heavenly master." Yan Xianglou was speechless. How did he know that he was even more powerful in this life than in the previous one? "It's not necessarily true. There is no one in Langtian section. Why come here? Are you sad?" Another person interjected. "That's right, I wouldn't want to come to this sad place. I hope Tianchi you will have better luck in this life. Don't just show your luck to others. You should take good care of yourself. She died before she was 20 years old. If she were alive, she would be the most powerful person in the mainland now." Yan Xianglou really didn't know that she was so powerful in the eyes of these people, the strongest person in the mainland. They really dared to think about it. "I feel warm in my heart. It turns out that after 10,000 years, there are still people who are thinking about me. There are also people who are not selfish and want to live a good life for themselves. Well, my grandma has been telling me all day how Master Yu saved her back then. If she knew that Master Yu was reincarnated, she would definitely be happier than having me as her grandson." Yan Xianglou glanced at the man who spoke and thought to herself, "You are too arrogant and have too little confidence in yourself. Believe me, in your grandma's heart, you must be the most important thing, otherwise she would not let you come and clean up the Langtian sect." After Yan Xianglou came in, she used her mind-reading skills and read some people's voices. She knew that these people were arranged by her master, senior brothers, and people she had helped to save. The reason why Langtian sect can remain as it is it's all thanks to these people. They are just one of the groups, and different people come every time, about once a month. Yan Xianglou was very moved. At least the sacrifices of her master and senior brothers would still be remembered by people thousands of years later. Yan Xianglou took Zhizhong's hand and walked inside without disturbing these people. Langtian sect is not a big one. After all, Saint Fenyuan doesn't plan to accept too many disciples, and he doesn't even have any disciples. The senior brothers are not too old, so they have not yet accepted disciples. The current scale is achieved by recruiting an apprentice to build a courtyard and a building. Other than the main courtyard where Langtian sect receives guests, the courtyard where master lives is the largest. Senior brother Liu's courtyards are all the same size and are located all over the hillside. Her yard is the closest to the master's yard and is almost surrounded by the yards of the master and fellow seniors, mainly for safety. Although no one dares to go to Langtian sect to provoke, there are many spiritual beasts on Langtian mountain, and there are also many high-level ones. If you are not afraid of 10,000, you are afraid of just in case. Yan Xiangluo went to various yards and finally came to her yard. At this time, the people cleaning her yard have not left yet, and it seems that they are cleaning very seriously. It made her doubt that she had just gone out and came back, and the yard was still the same as when she lived there. But I still felt something different when I walked into the room. Other living items in the room are there, but there are no curtains, bedding, or anything else. Also, after so many years, those things are no longer usable, and there is no one living there, so there is no need to put these things away. Yan Xiangluo sat on the bed. Although it was hard, she felt at ease. Ji Kong stood aside and looked at the people cleaning the main room. The man touched his head and said to himself, "Why does it feel like someone is in the house?" He then patted his forehead and said, "I must have been so excited when I heard the news yesterday about the reincarnation of Tian Tian Master. I look forward to seeing Tian Tian Master back." After saying this, I continued to work and found that he was working more seriously. After knowing that he had packed up and left her yard, Ji Hong said, "Good people are rewarded, and their sacrifices are not completely forgotten." Yan Xiangluo smiled. For the first time since returning to Langtian sect, master and senior brothers would be very happy if they knew about it.